welcome to Andyn Farm. This week we're talking about trimming and shaping of trees, and obviously hedges are one of those trees that we are shaping on a regular basis, and a lot of people have hedges in their garden. This particular one is Prunus lusitanica, or Portuguese laurel, which has lovely red stems on the new shoots before it ages, with all the new growth there. This one we're using as a windbreak. So we've actually got a stack of 4 hedges which are giving us windbreak and shelter. Portuguese laurel does need shelter from the coldest of winds, but in a free draining sunny spot. It's a lovely evergreen, really dark green foliage. It'll put on probably 12 to 18 inches of growth in a year, but again that can be managed and it can be trimmed and shaped and kept. If it's regularly pruned, it can be kept at any height from about 4 to 5 foot high. And it's another one in a sheltered spot that can also be pleached into a screen, which is where you raise the canopy and stretch it out, which we've talked about in some of the other videos. This is the more common cherry laurel, which has a much larger leaf and is a little bit tougher. So these leaves will actually stand the wind and the wet a lot better. Very, very vigorous. This can put up to 2 foot of growth on, and again, if it's not managed and kept to size, this can eventually achieve 30 to 40 foot. But again, by shaping them and by trimming them, you can keep them compact. One of the benefits with both of the laurels, the Portuguese and the traditional cherry laurel, is that when they do get overgrown, if you can get back, if there's no nesting birds, if you can get in early in the season towards the end of March, April time, you can cut them back really, really hard and they'll regenerate very strongly from the base. But if you cut back hard into a lot of the conifers, they won't regenerate. If you cut back hard into the more shrubby, particularly these two, and again, privet is another example that's behind me in the backdrop there, all of these evergreens will actually regenerate. So at this end of the hedge, we've got Lonicera red tips. So during the spring and the summer, all the new shoots when they first come through with this one are a bright purpley red when they first come through. It's really just grown for evergreen structure. But again, this particular one I've let grow up. This is again a stock hedge, so we'll propagate cuttings from here. This one we've let grow up because it's providing us with a bit of shelter. So it's quite dense here, but all of these hedges are giving me windbreak shelter for the polytunnel on the other side. Quite dense, evergreen, hardy, and lovely red shoots when the new foliage first comes through. It takes a bit of clipping, but with regular clipping and shaping, you can keep them to size.
Can you use it instead of box plants?
Could well be used instead of box plants, but you would have to cut it a lot more often than you would with a box. To give you an idea, that 6-inch growth there has been put on since September when this hedge was cut. So yes, you can, but to keep it to size, I'd suggest trying to keep it maybe at 3 to 4 foot high, rather than necessarily keeping it really small like you would maybe with a box, where you may only want something a foot high. So at this end here, another one that we use quite often where we can, where the ground isn't too wet in the winter, is English yew. And this is a fantastic plant for being able to keep to shape and keeping it trimmed. So these are probably about 9 years now, and they're probably topping at about 7 foot. Very tough, very hardy, British native. But again, by clipping and shaping it, you can do some lovely things with yew. You will have seen a lot of these plants around, and they do make fantastic plants for topiary. The Irish yew, or Taxus robusta, is the columnar habit and naturally grows in that form. This is English yew. English yew will grow up into a tree, but again, by shaping it and by regular trimming it, you can keep it to any shape you want. And they make some fantastic shapes. You can do some fantastic cones, squares, columns, but it does need to be kept regularly trimmed, again, August, September time, to keep it to size and shape. I think we're about to get another heavy shower any minute now, when it was actually a nicer day. We did some multi-stem trees with some other young birds, so that will also be in this video. Now being the ideal time for pruning birch trees, I just thought it might be useful to show you. These are 2 trees that we cut back very, very hard last year to the ground to encourage them to grow as multi-stem trees. With these trees, they were cut right down to the base last winter. So they've now produced 3 shoots from what was a single tree, which then means that obviously now we're encouraging a nice multi-stem shape. So, which works really nicely. If you've only got space for one tree, but you want to grow several trunks, then one of the things we do is to coppice them at the right time, and that produces a multitude of trunks from the base of the tree, and these will grow on and then eventually all have the same colour as the white stem birch behind us. Coppicing basically is cutting them down to ground level, and again the key is timing. So with birch you really need to try and make sure that you're doing it when the trees are completely dormant. Because with this one, for example, we've now got 4 or 5 shoots, I'm actually just going to take off the central old stem and take that down a nice little bit lower. And again, just to check, it's nice and dry, so it's ideal timing. So that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm probably just going to stay with 4 trunks coming from it. So I'm just going to leave that as 4 because I think that's going to give me a nice shape. And all I'm going to do is just take off some of those very lower side branches or twigs, just to very slightly start to raise the canopy up as it grows. And probably for this year, that'll be enough. This is probably a better example to show you. This one's been cut all the way down at ground level. So the cut was almost at the soil level when we first did this one, and this has now developed 3 shoots. And again, with that one, all I'm going to do, anything that looks like it's going to be inwards, I'm just going to take off those branches. Just to give me a bit of a cleaner plant. Birch naturally will shed the lower branches as it grows up and as they rub, which is quite normal and nothing to worry about. But, and you can see there's some little shoots just in the middle there. So anything that's small enough, I'm just going to rub them off with my finger, and that'll just stop them growing next year. But again, it's another thing that can be done with birch, particularly when it works particularly well when they're young. Older trees you're not always guaranteed to get them to rejuvenate, but if you wanted to try and have a go at creating a multi-stem birch, then a young tree is ideal for doing it with. Gardening is always a case of trial and error. Even with the best learning and best teaching in the world, you are always learning and you will always make mistakes. As much as anything else, the weather these days is very unpredictable and nobody can forecast. I know I've talked before about things flowering at different times of the year and shooting at different times of the year where they shouldn't traditionally be, but always with gardening, there's another chance, there's another season, there's another year, and there's always the opportunity to have another go. So never get put off, always keep trying. You never stop learning. I hope you enjoyed the clip about the multi-stem trees and how we did those birch earlier in the week. If you like what we're doing, then please obviously feel free to click the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see some more videos. If you need to get hold of us for any gardening questions, then in the description we've now done an email link so you can email any gardening questions straight through to us. December coming in towards Christmas, absolutely ideal time for shaping holly. I know my wife and my daughter will both be utilising a lot of these holly cuttings, and you always get a better shape by trimming by hand if you've got time.